Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to World This Morning. Yet another episode, a very informative and a very, I want to say, fun one. This is Shiza Hashmi, like every other day, sharing my lovely mornings with all of my lovely viewers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope today is going to be an amazing day for all of you. Before we begin, start to talk about something really important, I wanted to discuss something that lately I feel like I've been adopting. I have been sort of endorsing it for a long time, or rather advocating about it. But now I feel like I'm practically trying to incorporate it into my life. I'm talking about gratitude. Why specifically gratitude? I'll tell you why. Because if you start being thankful about the things you already do have, I feel like the energy that your body or that your mind naturally spends thinking about the things that you don't have, all the wishes that we have, or that kash that we have in our head, kash ye ho jata, or I wish this happened, I wish I had that. I feel like that eventually stems into negative energy in your mind. Of course, it's good to dream for things, it's good to aim for things, it's good to actually have goals in your mind. But never say kash for that matter. Kash is an Urdu word and it loosely translates upon to, wishing upon something. Because when you start being grateful for things that you already have, the wishes that you have in your head will eventually translate into reality. And all the dreams that you have in your head will eventually, inshallah, translate into reality. So for today, for all my lovely viewers, this is a small note that I want to talk about. Towards the end of the day, make sure to take at least 5 minutes out to think about the things that you are thankful for. So for today, let's think about 3 things we're thankful for. And they can be as small as being thankful for the lunch that I had today, or I'm thankful for my parents today, or I'm thankful for my friend who checked up on me today. You can be thankful for your fresh bed sheets. You can be thankful for a fresh, glass of juice that you had today. Each and every single thing or anything that you've had today, be thankful for it. And that kind of energy, I'll tell you, the mind will definitely attract all the positivity in the world and give it to you. Try it tonight and, do let me know about it as well, because I want to learn from you people what happens in your life if you try to incorporate gratefulness into it or, thankfulness into it. Well, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I feel like it's so important because as natural as it seems, having things and then being sort of thankless about it, I think we have to mindfully remind ourselves of all the people that unfortunately do not have those things. And it's not necessarily always about material things. It can even be about health for that matter. You know how we always say health is wealth? It's because when you are healthy, when you have the perfect kind of health, the perfect kind of functioning organs, and the perfect kind of energy to carry out your daily tasks and everything, you feel great. Can you recall one of the days that you were sick? Just recently, I caught a viral flu and I was down with fever and whatnot. And unfortunately, I was unable to, perform my basic chores. That was to get up and get my breakfast or to just, go to the TV lounge and sit. You feel so lethargic. You feel so bad just thinking about how unhealthy you are. So be grateful for your health, even be grateful for everything. And specifically talking about health, be grateful that you are able to carry out the normal tasks because, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, there are some health conditions related to, loosely speaking, they're related to your bones and functioning of your body and joints, in terms of all sorts of rheumatic diseases that can alter or halt your life functioning. Arthritis, or even osteoporosis for that matter, happens to be one of the very common diseases or conditions that people live with all over the world. Do you know 350 million people in the world are actually living with arthritis? It is definitely sort of a task. It's a challenge actually to lead a lifestyle with such health conditions or health issues going on as well. To give you a further detail about what arthritis actually is, because today happens to be World Arthritis Day, ladies and gentlemen, I have a small informative report. Let's take a look at it. When we come back, I will have a very, fruitful and informative discussion with one of my favorite doctors over here. Let's do it.
Arthritis is an inflammation of the joints. It can affect one joint or multiple joints. There are more than 100 different types of arthritis with different causes and treatment methods. Today is being observed as World Arthritis Day to help raise awareness in all audiences across the world. Although arthritis is one of the most common diseases in the world, most people haven't heard much about it. Arthritis is a disease that affects approximately 350 million people worldwide, including nearly 40 million people in the United States. The symptoms of arthritis usually develop over time, but they may also appear suddenly. Arthritis is most commonly seen in adults over the age of 65, but it can also develop in children, teens and younger adults. Arthritis is more common in women than men and in people who are overweight.
All right, this is what we are talking about today. Without any further ado, let me be introducing my guest over here. She happens to be a rheumatologist, and that is why she's very apt to talk about this topic on this very important day. Dr. Sadia Riaz, Assalamu alaikum, welcome back.
Walaikum salam, and thank you so much.
It's always great to have you, Dr. Sadia. So to begin with, first of all, yes, it is very important. It is World International Arthritis Day, and we have to learn about this disease itself. But you're a rheumatologist. Let's get that out of the way. What does a rheumatologist do?
Basically, a rheumatologist, me or my fellow colleagues, we deal with diseases of muscle, bones and joints and some other connective tissue disorders. The management of these diseases are medical, so they're not surgical like in my orthopedic colleagues. So
I was going to ask, how's orthopedic different than rheumatology?
Basically, orthopedic, they deal with these problems in the form of surgery or procedures, but we deal with these problems with the help of medicines, joint injections, physiotherapy, lifestyle modifications, things like that.
That's great. So do you have any sort of stats or facts that you want to share about this particular day? How common is this disease? Are we talking about arthritis only, or is this an umbrella term when we talk about World Arthritis Day? What are some of the conditions that come under it?
Thank you so much for your contribution for this day today, 12th of October. It's celebrated, is observed worldwide today as World Arthritis Day or RMD Diseases Day. RMD means rheumatic and musculoskeletal disease. So it does not only involve any autoimmune problems. It also involves any conditions related to your muscles, bones or joints. If I describe them in two terms, that would be more ideal. One form of the arthritis is just normal wear and tear. The joint fluid or the joint cartilage gets damaged with age, time, obesity, things like that. The other type of arthritis, and that's unfortunately very common in Pakistan, that is inflammatory arthritis. That means that you get joint pain, swelling, redness, reduced mobility, aches and fever and pain and things like that. So it's basically affecting your whole body. And this type of arthritis is called as rheumatoid arthritis or rheumatism or gathia in Pakistan. So this is unfortunately very common. I'm seeing in a lot of patients.
Oh, okay. So who are the people who are more prone to it? Because you spoke about age, you spoke about very, different factors that might be contributing to it.
If we talk about some of the commonest risk factors, I must say gender. The autoimmune diseases are very common in females. Young childbearing female, they are more prone to get autoimmune problems like arthritis or lupus, and you might have heard about these diseases. Other thing is environmental pollution, and again in our area, in this Pakistan, most commonly it's our family history that it runs in generation. The problem of arthritis, it runs in families.
So it's genetic.
It's genetic as well. Yes.
Oh, all right. So if it's genetic, or even if it's not genetic for that matter, is there a certain age group at what it might start showing symptoms, or can it happen at an early age?
I would say nowadays I'm seeing it in a very early age.
Really?
Somebody presenting to me in their 20s and 30s with back pain, neck pain, knee pain, joint pains. So it is becoming very, very common. I must say that I'm looking at it as a next epidemic or something serious going on.
That's not good news, of course. And you know what? We have sort of a system over here in Pakistan where we don't like going to see the doctor for our biannual or our annual checkup, right? Even if there's nothing wrong with you, it is important for every 6 months or every year to go see your family doctor and ask him for a complete body picture, complete blood picture, so that he tells you what's wrong with you, God forbid if there's something is, so that you can take care of yourself. We love making Google our doctor, anything we feel like, we put it into Google, and eventually it tells that you have a form of this disease or that. So let's talk about symptoms. What are some of the signs that might show or start appearing, which makes you think that this can be arthritis?
I would like to discourage this Google doctoring
Yes.
and this thing, because most of the patients, when they present to me, they've already they've damaged their joints, their disease is advanced, so it's become irreversible damage to their body.
Right.
So please stop doing that practice. Please stop doing self-medications. That's again something I would like to discourage. If you talk about the symptoms, the main symptoms I'm dealing with is basically joint pains.
Okay.
In case of rheumatoid arthritis or inflammatory arthritis, patient will notice in the small joints of the hands, feet, neck, back. It starts from these joints. Then there are some associated features in some autoimmune conditions. For example, in lupus or SLE, you get some sort of skin rash on your face that is very sensitive to sunlight or heat. So these are the typical features that I'm seeing.
Okay.
Then patients, unfortunately, they can present at a very later age when the joint is fused. That means that it's completely damaged. So the mobility is reduced, and the patient is either limping or cannot straighten their elbow or move that particular joint. So these are the commonest things I'm seeing.
Oh, unfortunately. And these might also seem so common. How often does it happen that you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I have, just standing up from the bed, my knees were hurting, or just picking up something, my arms or my elbows were hurting? While it can be as common as that, but if it's reappearing, how many days should we wait for it to actually go see a doctor?
I would say wait and see for at least 3 months. If
3
it is
months,
going
all
on,
right.
it's more than 3 months, it's chronic, it's long-standing, you have tried all the totkas and painkillers and things like that, it's not going away, please do see a doctor, especially a rheumatologist doctor who are specialists in dealing on these diseases.
I think that is very important to actually go see a specialist, whatever you're having, not just in this case, in every other case as well. But now we've spoken about what are some of the symptoms or the signs that might show up. Now let's talk about the people who are already living with arthritis or similar diseases or conditions as well. What are some of the lifestyle changes that might have happened to them in terms of movement or any sort?
First of all, I would like to give the message that we are with all of them. It's very difficult for them to even to do daily work like getting up, dressing up, things like that. It's very difficult for these patients to do that. Second thing is that there's a lot of psychological and financial issues as well, because most of the time patients can't afford these medicines, and it's a chronic illness, something like diabetes, something like blood pressure. It's not going to go away in one day. It's going to take a little bit longer time. So there's a lot of social and socioeconomic and financial impact on the patients as well.
Okay, so does that mean that a lot of people who might be living in the rural areas or downtrodden segments of the society or have that sort of lifestyle, they must be more prone to it?
That's where I'm coming to. Most of the cases in Pakistan here, it goes undiagnosed. People don't know what's happening. Yeah, because what happens is, so if somebody's getting a joint pain, a neighbor or a quack or somebody will tell them, oh, get a uric acid done, oh, get this medicine over from the counter. So they will just keep on doing this self-prescription and taking medicines or painkillers. They will go undiagnosed, and they come to us very late if they do.
That is, of course, really unfortunate. When things get delayed so much, I'm pretty sure the condition develops into something even serious as well. But before that, do you think this is curative in a way that someone who did develop arthritis can actually be completely normal after medication? Or surgery even?
Yeah, medicines, I would say. In case of inflammatory arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, patients, they can go back to their normal lives. But the thing is that they have to take their medicines regularly. They should involve some kind of physical activity in their daily routine. They should follow the instructions given by their doctor, their physiotherapist. So it's not a one-person job. When I see a patient, I tell them, okay, I've done my job. I've given you the medicine. Now it's your job to look after your weight, look after your exercises, look after your diet, especially. This is very important. If you're ignoring this part of the health, then only medicines are not going to make much difference. So it's a combination of medicines, diet, healthy lifestyle, physiotherapy, exercising, keeping a good weight. So these all things combine, and they will help you with your arthritis problem.
You actually, raised a very good point in terms of diet. What are some of the nutrients that might be missing in people who develop arthritis?
Vitamin D deficiency without
Is it always that?
It's always. It's very common in Pakistan. Okay. It's very common in Pakistan. Most likely we don't like to go outside because we'll get dark skin or, problems like that, or we are wearing hijabs or covering our bodies. Vitamin D deficiency is actually very common in Pakistan, especially in females, children. It's very common. The commonest symptoms of vitamin D deficiency is that you're feeling aches and pains, numbness, tingling in your joints and your muscles. You're very fatigued. Even if you have rested for a whole night, you wake up very fatigued. You have got neck pain, back pain, all these sort of symptoms. Then please do see a doctor, then get your vitamin D checked, and then get it replaced.
Okay, absolutely brilliant. So, you know, a very common notion over here in Pakistan is that Pakistan happens to be, mashallah, such a lovely country in terms of weather and seasons, and we have a brilliant sun over here. We sit on our terraces or even in our lawns with our family. We do enjoy the sunlight. So it's a common sort of a sentiment over here. How come we're deficient with vitamin D? Is it just the sunlight that is the source?
There are two sources. One is the sunlight, because it's converted into vitamin D in your skin.
Yes.
And the second one is the dietary. I think we are deficient because we're not getting enough sunlight. If you look at the modern lifestyle, especially in the cities, we are sitting in the offices, we are in the house, we are just inside. So we're not getting enough from the sunlight. And then again, if you're talking about the diets, again in the cities we are having the boxed milk and, you know, the takeaway foods and processed food and canned food. So we are not going towards healthy eating. And when I say healthy eating, it's not a rocket science, it's not a magic, just simple things. You know, take a glass of milk, take fresh fruits and vegetables, take lots of water, especially. That's very important for your body, for your joint, for your muscles.
Right.
Simple things.
All right, that's great. Now, you know, ever since the pandemic started, and it's been about more than 2 years now, a lot of people have been having different kind of issues. Now, imagine people who don't have health issues or any sort of disease. They were already so frustrated with the pandemic or, you know, the quarantining situation. So the people who were living with arthritis or similar rheumatic diseases or conditions actually had it harder. First of all, access to medicines was limited because everything was shut down, and imagine not having the right kind of nutrients to eat or the right kind of medicines to treat yourself with. Do you think the pandemic might have, or did it worsen the condition for people?
It has actually.
How so?
Again, like you mentioned, they've been staying indoors, not getting enough sunlight, not doing enough physical activity. Even normal healthy people, they are coming to me now with neck pain and knee pain and things like that. Okay. So when we talk about the people who already got arthritis, they find it difficult to even do daily sort of work for themselves.
Right.
In case of pandemic and quarantine, they were obviously bound to stay indoors. They couldn't go around, they couldn't move around. So that has actually worsened their disease, their muscle, they become more shrunken and spasm. So it has actually affected their mobility.
That is, of course, very unfortunate, and I really hope and pray for all the people out there who are living with arthritis. First of all, you are so strong. I'm wishing all the best to you for your life endeavors, and I really hope and pray things get easier, inshallah, every day too. One very important and the last question, but not the least, vaccination is utterly important now. I don't think anyone can live without it. Are people safe with arthritis to go get any sort of vaccination? Is there a certain type they should get?
Just a simple answer. If your disease, if it's any disease, any blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol, heart, or the rheumatic diseases or the joint diseases, if they're under control, you are taking your regular medicines, you're not having any acute symptoms or acute pains, you can go for vaccine. I would in fact encourage people with rheumatic problems and they are on medications, they are sort of immunocompromised with the medicines we are giving them, they should actually go for vaccine. If you haven't, then please go and get yourself vaccinated, please.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth itself, ladies and gentlemen. It's safe to get vaccinated, even if you are living with any rheumatic conditions or specifically arthritis. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Sadia, and you're so informative, especially early in the morning, because I feel like your brain is always sleeping when you wake up so early. In my case, it happens until I've had 2 cups of coffee. I want you to give out a message to everyone living out there, so maybe they can, you know, help people around them who are living with this condition, and then we'll go on a short break. Please.
Thank you so much. My message for the patients living with rheumatic diseases on this World Arthritis Day is to get yourselves checked early, get your disease diagnosed early, and start the treatment. Just remember that early diagnosis and treatment can save you from any permanent disability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sadia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it definitely. It is a very important day. We have to learn about these conditions, because if you, God forbid, of course, are not living with this condition, people around you might have it. So you should be at least having the awareness or the general knowledge about how to operate in such conditions, or how to deal with people who have such conditions, or how to be able to help them in case of any emergency. But you know, the doctor did say that a lot of females are the only ones who do develop such conditions, and it might also be at the verge of being an epidemic over here. But do you know it's not the only epidemic over here, especially in this region? Gender-based violence is something that is happening on a daily basis, not only in Pakistan, I'll be very honest, it's happening in every other country. This is what I want to talk about in the next segment, so please stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am again hoping you are having an amazing day. Well, the topic that I have for this segment is definitely a serious one. I want to say a grave topic that we need to discuss because it is happening all around us. No matter how much we want to shed it, or sort of turn a blind eye to it or brush it under the carpet, it's not going to go away. We are living in this very world. I'm not going to talk about the global stats, but let's talk about the regional stats, in fact. In this particular case of South Asia, out of 8, unfortunately, we ranked at number 7 in terms of insecurity for women or vulnerable genders for that matter. So I feel like we need to talk about gender-based violence. And when I say gender-based violence, it's not always against women. I am definitely not going to make it all about women. I have recently come across news where a lot of men for that matter, a lot of minors for that matter, non-binaries for that matter, transgenders for that matter have been subjected to one sort of violence, one form or the other. And I feel like we need to discuss this. Are there some laws in the country that can be implemented? Of course there are. So why are people not learning about them? I'm going to use this platform to actually enlighten myself along with you guys. And I have a very perfect panel of guests over here to talk about that. Now this gentleman actually, whenever we have to talk about something important, we have him over because his insight is so important. It is unbiased, it is objective, and he brings to the table the right kind of information. He is a lawyer, happens to be the member of the International Bar Association, Advocate Shahzad Alvi Saab. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Thank you so much for coming here. I'm absolutely great. And next to Shahzad Saab, we have someone who happens to be a social activist, a sociologist rather. So while we do talk about the laws that exist in the country, we need to talk about the cultural setup that we exist in. Because the bills will be passed, the laws will be passed, but will the people adopt them? Let's discuss that. For that matter, she also happens to be a deputy director in Women Development Center, Ms. Yamna Mir. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for inviting me.
It's definitely my pleasure. So I sort of want to begin this conversation with you, Shahzad Saab. The stats that I just recently shared, and there are so many around it, and some people actually declared that it is an epidemic of a proportion, gender-based violence or violence against women specifically. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, it's very unfortunate for the Pakistan that in our society, day by day, this sort of, what I'll say, this is a serious crime in the society, and this is continuously increasing. The number of the cases are coming more and more as compared with before the time. What I'll say that the violence, maximum the women's, they are victimized because generally our society is a male dominant society. But now we can see that even this violence is not till the extent of a woman. It is, we'll say that the violence against the minors, the kids, and the men as well, and especially against the transgenders, because transgenders are the very, neglected and they are the ignored people of our society. And so for the legal aspects are concerned, there are laws available in Pakistan Penal Code.
Okay.
For example, if there is what I'll start this sexual abuse, there are 376 PPC 377.
Okay.
And if there is by force kidnapping, there are 365.
Shahzad Saab, you know what? Before we do move on to the laws, I want you to explain in detail what constitutes such violence. Is it always supposed to be physical? If someone slaps you, is it violence, or what are the forms?
Yes, you're right. The violence which is defined, what I'll say, that could be in a form of physical torture, mental torture, emotional abuse, sexual abuse as well.
Of course.
So there are different types. So the violence is what I come across through my practice and through my clients, that in our Pakistani joint family system, the maximum complaints by the women are due to the reason of the girl which she got married in a different family, and then there is a pressure by the other female. What I'll say that the reason of the violence in maximum cases, not in every case, in maximum cases, is also a woman. That could be in the form of mother-in-law, the sister-in-law. And then the other thing, another, what I'll say, the target which is given to a male, that how you can dominate your wife.
Right.
She is not in your control. So to control a wife, this is basically a power sharing. This is a power game. So to control your family, to control your home, the only way that you start beating her, you start yelling her, abusing her, or whatever. And the other thing, that is the child marriage.
Oh.
In our remote areas, the people say that now this is we brother and sisters. We can be united if we get the proposals of our kids, and they don't care about the age. They don't care about their mental compatibility, their health issues. So even very minor age girls have been given for the marriage just because to keep the system of their family system.
Right.
So the other thing, then there is a very number of the cases which are increasing, that are the child abuse.
Yeah.
And this is because of multiple reasons, because very vast pornography, which is the government, that what I'll say through your program, that should be controlled.
But the funny thing is, Shahzad Saab, porn websites are not operating in, I mean, legally they cannot be operated in Pakistan. How are people accessing them? I know it's a funny question. Of course, there are VPNs and everything. My point being, if you're not that educated and if you're living in a peripheral system,
Yes.
how come you have that knowledge?
You know, these are very easily accessible through their mobiles, through
Yeah.
the mobiles, every person having in his hand. And this is basically a responsibility of the IT Ministry of Pakistan and the IT, that what are the firewalls and what are the restrictions,
Right.
that even a person who tries through VPN or other proxies, that site should not be operated in Pakistan. This is one of the reasons which is becoming for the increased rate of the crime. And even the Prime Minister Imran Khan has also mentioned this thing.
Yes, obscenity.
And the other thing, that is the frustration in the society. Why frustration? Because people have not any healthy activities as compared to the other countries which we find here in Pakistan. Every person is in a problem of the job, is in the problem of their financial crisis, and lot of other reasons.
Definitely. And we definitely want to sort of discover the further reasons and go into detail. But I want to take this very point on to our sociologist over here, ma'am, and have your insight on it. Do you think that cultural norms or the cultural system specifically is the only reason for growing violence, or are there any other contributing factors?
Definitely, cultural norms and values shape your society. These are the normative structures on the basis of which your society is constructed.
Right.
So there is a need to address those type of norms and values which are not good for your society. And patriarchal society, you know, we are living in a male-dominated society. So I think, in my opinion, or on the basis of my researches which I have conducted on throughout my educational career, even in my professional career, the root cause of violence against women particularly is the power structures.
Right.
Like power dynamics.
Why does it become a testament of their masculinity to show?
Definitely.
Why?
This is why they are socialized in the way. Or cycle theory of violence. We will talk about this, that how your parents are, your father, if we are talking about the male, your husband, so how your father is dealing with your mother. So you will learn, this is a learned behavior. Socialization patterns are very important.
Okay.
And we will. There is a need to address all these issues from the grassroots level. You know, for socialization pattern, family is very important. You know, most of the partner abuse happens within the four walls of house, which is a private domain.
And people are not willing to report it.
Definitely, how they can report. If we are talking about the women, the honor of the family lies with women.
Yes, yes.
So how she can report? And what about the system where she is going to report?
You know, where Shahzad Saab did mention that in a lot of cases, in terms of violence and especially mental and emotional abuse, women are the cause for women's violence. I'm not saying all of the cases, but in most cases, yes, and especially if you're living in a family system. Now let's come to what are some of the ways we can report this, because when you write women violence in Pakistan, the first article or the first thing that will appear is definitely Wikipedia, which by the way is not the right source. And Wikipedia says 90% of Pakistani women are subjected to violence. I was flabbergasted. I was shocked. And you know what? It cannot be wrong, because in one form or another, we have been subjected to violence. So now, what are the laws that we should be aware about, that these are the rights we have and this is what we should do when we feel being violated?
Okay. The laws available, for example, first of all, starting from a minor offences.
Yes.
That is criminal intimidation. That is a threat.
Oh.
That is it is defined in 503 of PPC, and the punishment is available in 506 or 506B. And then the other law that is regarding the female modesty or respect, that is defined in 350, 351, and the punishment available in 354. And another law that is a very serious crime, which was added in 1981, that is 354A. That is that if a woman was, abused by the multiple people, and she was, her clothes were torn, and she became the naked in front of a mob, this offense has the penalty of death penalty.
To the mob?
Yes, because it was happened, unfortunately, in 1980 or 1981, that there was a tribal dispute between two groups, and one group attacked upon the village, and they picked out their women, and they were the clothes were torn, and they were moved in all the village. They were naked. And then,
does it ring a bell about the 14th August incident, though?
yes, no, in 14th August
That is
incident, that is a different incident.
Okay.
Because there are different views, which I will.
Yeah, there are different sides to the story, but let's talk about the law itself. Okay.
No, so for the law is concerned, that is not 354A, that is 354.
Okay.
Because her clothes were not torn, but she was badly, what I'll say that a lot of people, they try to just
violate her.
Yes. And then the law, that is 376, that is regarding the rape.
Yeah.
And 377, that is unnatural offense with the minors, with the transgenders. So the both laws, they have the 25 years imprisonment.
Okay.
And so for the other incident, that can be connected. For example, before your program, Ms. Jimna, she was telling me there is a way to get revenge from a woman is the stove blast.
Oh.
Yes.
Targeted.
Definitely throwing kerosene oil to burn the victim, or
Yes,
gas
yes.
leakage. These are, I did my research.
At usually
yeah.
domestic
Yes.
settings.
And then there is a new law which was added in 2010, that is 509.
Okay.
That is a harassment of the women and 3 years imprisonment. But unfortunately, it's a bailable offense. But the very important thing which I have to mention here, that see, in our Pakistani society, when a woman or any person who is violated and who face the violence, the court and the system and the police, everything, they ask the evidence.
Why? I don't understand. How are you supposed... You know what really bothers me? And please correct me if I'm wrong, because definitely
Yeah.
you're the right person. You're supposed to have witnesses if you're raped or if you're violated. Should I call witnesses? If I'm standing, unfortunately, God forbid, if I'm standing in a situation where I'm about to get raped, should I call out for witnesses?
Yeah.
How is that supposed to work?
It is not possible. But, so in the rape cases, there are the multiple judgments by the High Court and Supreme Court that if the victim identifies someone that this was the person who committed this offense,
Yeah.
this is enough evidence. But so for the general harassment and the yelling or the other things, happens, say, 2-3 days before, I had a case that a lady, she said that my husband, he tortured me in the bedroom.
Okay.
And the person who was bailed out, I was not in the council in that case, they hired me later on.
Okay.
The reason when I studied the decision, that there is no evidence.
Imagine.
And this is something very important, because everything based upon the evidence, and lack of evidence, that gives always the benefit to the accused.
Absolutely.
But now the other way of harassment that has become the advanced level of harassment, that is through cybercrime, by using the Facebook and the other social medias, and finding the pictures and starting harassing the women and the other persons.
Absolutely. Hold on to that thought, because we need to discover it. We are part of social media so usually now, so casually now even. We wake up and the first thing we see is our social media accounts and platforms. Well, you know, there are, of course, different forms of violence, and my team actually compiled a report for you guys to check out the forms of violence and discover how prevalent gender-based violence is in Pakistan. Let's take a look at it, and when we come back, we will have our closing notes from Ms. Yamna and Mr. Shazad.
In some countries, women face a higher rate of discrimination and violence than the male due to social norms and beliefs. Many are deprived of their rights to health care, education, employment, political participation and inheritance. Many women still lack access to free or affordable essential services in sectors such as health, police, justice and social support to ensure their safety, protection and recovery. Not enough is done to prevent violence, which is the most challenging but also effective way to eliminate violence in a sustainable way. Pakistan has several laws and policies against various forms of violence. Challenges remain, however, in implementing these measures. For that matter, Pakistan has adopted a number of key international commitments to gender equality and women's human rights. National commitments in place include a national policy for development and empowerment of women, protection against harassment of women at Workplace Act, criminal law, and a national plan of action on human rights. Local commitments adopted gender equality policy frameworks and women's empowerment packages and initiatives.
But you know, it's really unfortunate a person who goes through any sort of violence, actually the imprint on the brain stays for their entire life. It's so traumatic. It's so hard to live a life because then you cannot trust any other person. You feel like they're going to violate you. You cannot be normal in your daily dealings as well. But what do you think, Ma'am Yumna, are the social implications of, well, first of all, being violated and all the laws that Shahzad Saab mentioned? There are so many, and luckily we have all those rights. But how do we make use of those rights?
Definitely, we will have to educate our generation. And when we are teaching gender studies department, in my opinion, this is very important to educate men.
Yes.
Give them education about the gender rights, gender violence, women rights even. If they will have the all.
Yes, please go on. Yes.
If they will go through all these, or they are well aware about the rights of women, so there is no need for
Right.
women to. There is no need to discuss. क्या कहना चाहिए कि
Yes.
talk. If men have the knowledge about the rights of women, there is no need to fight.
Okay.
Or fight for rights. There is a trickle down effect. We will get our rights.
Yeah.
Definitely. If men is learned, or if he has a knowledge, proper knowledge about the rights of the women, so there is a need of awareness, mitigation, rehabilitation.
Definitely.
Right? When a woman is going to report about the violence, she is being stigmatized by the society. This is the woman.
Still, it's 2021.
This is the women, right? This is the way. Even if I will try to register some complaint, so the reason behind is that all honor, family, respect is associated with me, not with me, right? So if this is associated with me, so I will be blamed.
And you
I
have
will be
to stay
stigmatized.
silent.
So being a working woman or an educated woman, I will not dare to complain or register my complaint, or even
Right.
follow. The state should take this responsibility to mitigate or reduce these type of stigmatization through awareness, education, or even redefine your family structures or family norms.
Well, that is very brilliantly put, and I totally agree with you. And I think I have to add over here that Pakistan Airlines, PIA, was recently declared by the United Nations as harassment-free airlines. And what that means is, first of all, that no recent cases have been, first of all, reported, and all the staff members have been educated in a way that they know what harassment is and what making someone uncomfortable is. And everyone working over there feels like they're working in a healthy environment or a comfortable environment. And they're actually going to receive an award on it as well. The purpose of mentioning this is, if PIA can do it being a state entity, there are so many other organizations or office spaces or workspaces that can implement similar things as well. But towards the end, Shahzad Saab, I want you to wrap it up with something. So the Diplomat actually published an article 3 months back about violence against women, about Pakistan. The thing that really put me off was how it spoke about the loopholes in the justice system and how Pakistan does not provide justice. So this is where I want to clear that, because laws exist. So what do the outsiders see the issue is?
No. What I'll say that if we compare with the other world, Pakistan is still a bit better than the lot of countries.
Yes, definitely.
If we get the statistic of the very developed countries of the rape and the women harassment, and as we compare with Pakistan, Pakistan is a bit better.
Okay.
We have some drawbacks of our traditional system that the male is dominant, but with these drawbacks, if we compare with the other Western countries,
yeah,
Pakistani women is also safe in this traditional system
yes,
as well.
I agree.
As we compare with the West. But so for this point is concerned, what you'll say that the situation in Pakistan is a little bit, it should be modified, it should be corrected of our justice system. The reason behind is that the justice system, being a lawyer, which I'll admit this thing, that it's a little bit slow.
Okay.
And it should be in a summary trial. Summary trial mean it should be, the hearing should be day by day.
Okay.
And the other thing is that there must be a female desk in every police station. Because in the big cities like Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, we have the women police stations, and there are the women police officers who receive the complaints, and the women are comfortable with them.
Yes.
But in the remote area where the maximum of the population they are living, we don't have the women desk. And even what I'll say that there should be a legislation that a woman, for example, an educated lady who wants to complain, she should have the facility to complain online through WhatsApp, through Skype.
Of course.
She should not visit, because as my
Anonymity.
There are
Yes.
helplines for that.
Anonymity, to maintain anonymity.
yes.
Right.
So because in our system, the relatives, the people, they started asking, what happens with your daughter? What happens with your sister? This is a family cannot bear.
Absolutely.
This happens
Absolutely.
even in the incident
Right.
of child court, where the anonymity of the victim was
Yes.
maintained.
Definitely, anonymity is a major factor, and even if I were to go to report, I would want to be anonymous. But thank you so much, both of you, for being here, and thank you for letting us know that this is the state of the country and the laws exist, and this is what we need to do. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to write to us for your feedback and suggestions on our social media pages. You will see the ticker running. Yes, it's right there. And I will see you tomorrow, inshallah, with a newer topic and with newer information. Till the next time, take care. Good morning.